We're expecting 3 more here. So,
okay.
But we can always get started with spiritual inquiry because it never ends.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Guess that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. I used to think hated that idea. You know, oh my God, you think I have to do this forever?
Yeah, I know.
And that's, of course, itself what causes the frustration. There isn't anything real there. Hello, Mr. X. Welcome. Can you hear us? We don't hear you or see you, just so you know. And maybe that's how you want it, and that's okay. That's okay too. We were just saying that. However, we do need to speak to some people, or I'll be standing up doing a soliloquy here, which I don't mind doing. The most value is when people interact with me, though, and somebody is sharing their screen, and you could.
That's Mr. X.
Yes, yes. We could ask you to not share your screen, Mr. X. That would be great. And that shouldn't have been able to happen. We'll have to look at some of the settings here to make sure that doesn't happen. Do you want to please turn your screen sharing off, Mr. X? And then we can let you stay. There we go. Thank you. You might check your mute, see if your mute is on, Mr. X, see if your headset is plugged in, or your audio, or your webcam, whatever you're using. Always a few new bugs when new people join the program here. Yeah, so yeah, Jerry, I remember, having that thought and believing it about me, and for a while I struggled with that. Hey, there he is. We got video now. No audio yet, though. And yeah, and that just kind of faded away, the fact of practicing always didn't fade away. That's the way it is.
Right, right.
But that's sort of like, washing the dishes won't disappear either. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I'm noticing a lot of that fading away. Yeah, I'm starting to see it, and I wish it would fade away a lot faster, but.
Well, that is the one you have to be disinterested in, and then everything fades away. But if you keep saying that I is real and true and important, and I just want it all to go away, you're just feeding it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. It's such a catch-22,
Well, it appears to be, except that the way out is your own power of authority.
Yes, that's right.
Right? It's not a catch-22. The way out is what you are stamping and approving and saying, this is real and true and this is important. And if you say it's a catch-22 and if that's important, you're going to have trouble. But don't even touch that, You learn to not touch anything.
Yeah, gosh. I don't know why well, again, I'm kind of finding myself that circle, but sorry, I'm just shutting my door so my dog doesn't bark, but just these old mind habits. They're just old mind habits.
No, the habits don't matter either. What are you empowering right now? If you're going to say it's the mind habits, I'm a victim of the mind habits, guess what? That's what you'll get because you're the boss. What if you don't touch anything? Just for a moment. Don't empower anything to be real or true or important. Can you hear us, Mr. X? If so, put your thumb up. Hey, all right. At least you can hear us. We can't hear you. And we have a new visitor. Welcome.
Thank you.
Somebody in by phone here. So there should be one more person joining, but we're just, we jumped right in, didn't we, Jerry?
Yeah, we did.
So you do that for just a moment. Don't touch any of that. Are you able to do that?
Yes, I am. It doesn't, yes, for a moment I am.
For a moment, if you're able to do that even for a moment, you're able to do that every
Can you
moment,
hear
any
me?
moment. Yeah, we got you now.
All right. Okay.
Hey, welcome. So yeah, consider that, Jerry. If you can do that even for a moment, it means you can do that any moment and every moment.
Okay.
We're talking about not touching a thought, not empowering something that appears to limit you. It can't, and it doesn't. Only what you empower appears to limit you. But that's your doing. That's your power of authority. Nobody else's. No matter what anybody says about you or what they have said about you in the past, it doesn't exist. It's paying attention, that's all, to what you're empowering now. And if you pick up a story from the past that says, well, yeah, but I've never been able to overcome this peace of mind. I always grab onto the, what are you empowering now? And what if you don't? See, if you don't touch any of it, are you free? Somebody's smiling. You might have just noticed. Yeah, I am. Why do we laugh and smile? Because it's funny. We thought we've not been free. We thought we've been at the, we've been a victim of something or someone else. It's like, no. Yeah. And just the joy, the sheer joy of realizing our freedom. It's good. So some people may be, thinking or wondering, well, how do you not touch a thought? And it's not just a thought. Sometimes it's a movie in the mind, a story, picture memory, something comes up from the past. It's always from the past. That's what's on that hard drive, right? Is something that's happened in the past, a picture, a memory, a thought, a feeling even connected to a thought and a picture. And we're associated with it. And so that comes up. And some may be easier for you to not touch than others. Why? Why?
Would you say that those are more unconscious thoughts then? Do
No.
you think we have to dive deeper into triggers maybe in our childhood?
No. That would put you as a victim, wouldn't it? There's something you have to do. You have to go back somewhere in time, which is impossible. That would mean you're bound. The easy way out, the fast way out, is to notice it's just a thought. It's just a memory. It's just a picture. Happening when? Now. It's just happening now. There is no past. You may remember it is something that happened in the past, but you're doing it now. And right now, it's not happening. As in the content of what happened, situation, people, right? Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
The only thing that's happening is this memory is playing. Just like if you went to a movie theater and you watched a movie and it might be terrifying and you get so scared you may get, woken up out of it by the fear. And you realize, oh yeah, just a movie. It's not really happening. And if we don't do that discerning, then we will believe it as if it's real now. And so why do some thoughts you can notice very easily? They don't have much charge. They're not You don't feel them very powerfully. That's because you're not interested in them. You don't really believe them. You're not giving them your authority. You're not stamping them with your power of truth, of reality. The ones that you pick up and you go, oh, yeah, that's important. That's true. That's real. Ooh, those are the ones you're going to experience the most, the strongest. And then you're going to say, I can't do anything about it. I'm at effect, not at cause here.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Something is bigger than me. Something else is bigger than me. But you were there before this thought arose. And you know that this thought feeling will go again. They don't ever stay. Anybody ever notice that?
Mm-hmm.
They don't ever stay. They always come and go in your presence. Now, if you're holding a belief that you formed in the past, you formed it a long time ago, and you're holding it now to be true, that's what you could work with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
But to say that it's something that happened to me in the past that kind of binds me.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was wondering what the difference is between a thought and a belief.
Very good. Do you have an idea?
I'm assuming a belief is something I believe to be true, and the thought may be something that I can see and let it go again without believing it.
Yeah, you can see it and let it go because you don't believe it.
Yeah.
The ones that you believe, and what does believe mean? It means we think it's important, we think it's real, we think it's true. So we are stamping our authority with it. Otherwise, if you don't do that, if you don't give it any sense of reality, it comes and goes. Actually, all thoughts come and go. But if you believe one to be real and true, what happens is you will perpetuate more thoughts around it. And you may repeat that thought over and over and play it over and over and over. This is what suffering is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe it and you play it over and over and you experience, what happens is your body starts to feel it. And you can work yourself up into a big froth over this. And the worse you feel, the more likely you're going to stir up worse thoughts. And the worse you feel, we tend to believe. We tend to believe because we feel so bad. So I'm just muting everybody because we have some noise and background in the echo. And I think it's actually after I did that one by one, I think it's coming from Mr. X. Sorry. So if you want to, anybody wants to speak with me, just unmute yourself. Hopefully you know how to do that. If you can't unmute for some reason, you can go in the chat box and type a comment in the chat box, ask to be unmuted. I'm going to put a hello here in the chat box so you'll see where that is. So yeah, it's a good question. That's really the difference between a thought and a belief. I mean, a belief is a thought, but it's one that you say, yes, that's real, that's true, that's important. And it's one you spend time with and you get very familiar with. Therefore, you have it very top of mind. It's very handy. It comes up very quickly. It's right available to you. And because of the speed of that, you may think that you are again a victim of it. But your way out again is your power of authority. Something can come up, let it come up, but be not interested in it. Question it rather than accept it. If you question it every which way you can, you'll stop believing in it so much, maybe completely. And when you do that, you'll stop paying attention to it. You'll stop experiencing it. And it will stop coming up so readily, so quickly. Because that's the brain's job, is to, give you thoughts as options, ideas, possibilities. And whatever you're interested in the most, it's going to give you more of. And that kind of makes sense, you know. If you're really interested in eating well, then just having one thought and doing one thing, it's not so much. But if you start thinking about eating well, you do a lot of research on it, you're going to get, the brain is going to offer you up a lot of stuff that it remembers. Ideas of where to go and find more information, etc., etc. So, you know, thoughts are like the birds, I say. When you feed them, they keep coming. And if you stop feeding them, they stop coming. So, which birds do you want to come or not? Which thoughts do you want to come or not? Yeah, I've confirmed the noise is coming from your side. So I've unmuted the other two. But if you have a question, feel free, okay, Mr. X, to just unmute. So I was going to ask everybody the question, what's holding you back? What do you think is holding you back?
That's a good question. Uh-huh. It's a real good question.
And back from what? Doesn't that beg another question? Back from what? What's the goal here? What's the objective?
To be more peaceful. For me, it's peace of mind. It's having a better more fluid relating with the people closest to me. Mm-hmm. Expressing my needs and my needs, and that means the need to say no in a compassionate, kind way.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just say it straight up too. Like today, I had to say it to somebody, just straight up. Actually, I say it 3 or 4 times. I was, mm-hmm. You know, if you don't stop being nasty, I'm just gonna have to block your email address. Mm-hmm. And there was fair warning, and it escalated. So I blocked the email address. You know, mm-hmm. I'm not churning a story about that person, how they should have or shouldn't have done anything. But I just did what needs doing, and it's over. Mm-hmm. So if we think we have to be nasty or nice, we're really telling ourselves a story in the mind, and then we're acting on the story in the mind. If you improve, you know, if you improve your side of things, then a lot of your relationships will improve, but you can't control the other side. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. You could be as nice as you can. Sometimes you could be super nice and still get back nastiness.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you are free enough to draw boundaries as you wish.
Yeah.
Okay. If you clear up the crap inside. What do I mean by that? I like to be very specific. So the crap inside is the movie in the mind that's playing. And the difference between the movie in the mind and what is actually real, here and now, is what you're seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, hearing. And if you can notice all that simultaneously, what happens is it takes your attention and your interest away from the movie in the mind, and it's like, boom, it stops. It's over. It may start to play again, and you might be interested for a while, and it'll play, back to your senses. And it stops. It's over. It's most amazing when you do this to see that what looks so real is over, is gone. Yeah. How real could it have ever been? You know, you start to really be able to discern the difference between the movie in the mind and what is. And I'll promise you that what is always kinder. Mm-hmm. 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 And shorter lived. Even if someone is yelling and screaming at you, that will end and be gone, and there'll be space and spaciousness. But if you fill that space with the movie in the mind, you know, you replay it over and over and over, you'll suffer.
Mm-hmm.
You'll suffer it.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
I can observe or watch my senses, or I can watch my thoughts, but it really doesn't make a difference, does it? I mean, it's all observing, and the only difference is maybe that I'm focusing on a more narrow space. If I focus on thoughts only and not on all the senses. I'm wondering if it's harmful to focus on a thought.
Ah, I see. Yeah. I thought that's where you might be going with that. And yeah, don't do it. That's a contraction. And what it does is it makes you blind, deaf, and ignorant to what is actually going on. And it will get you in a bad state, because usually our thoughts don't feel good. We've been running bad stories, right? There's only one thought that you could stick with that would be really useful. And that's the question, who am I? Okay. That one can lead you to a discovery that will change everything. But no other thoughts, and I mean no other thoughts. Because they will lead you, they can lead you to hell and back many times, multiple times, over and over and over. If you stay open, instead of contracting on a thought, if you stay open to the senses, you can have direct recognitions. Wisdom it will arise, and it won't be a thought. It's sort of like the difference between touching a stove and knowing it's hot and just having someone tell you it's hot, or having the thought that it's hot. There is a chasm of a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And touching it and knowing it, you know directly without question the truth. Yes. So it's okay to have thoughts as long as you know they're thoughts and nothing else. This can happen too when you have direct recognitions. Things start to seem funny.
Yeah.
And it's no thought about it. It's a direct knowing. Now, having a recognition, you may have a thought that follows after the fact, but you notice that thoughts are always like an echo. You know, the recognition's already seen, it's already known, and here comes the peanut gallery. Oh, la 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 la. Okay. When some people have the recognition, for example, of coming to their senses out of thought, they realize they may say something like, it didn't happen. Nothing ever happened. So this is directly seen, and sometimes you'll use the words to say, nothing ever happened. It's okay, as long as you don't follow the mind and go off into thinking again. You stay with the direct recognition. You'll go silent, quiet. That's okay, as long as you don't let a noisy thought come up and say, but it's too quiet, it's too boring, or or there's nothing happening. Laugh at that one. Notice it's just a thought. Value the silence, the stillness over the movie in the mind. And you will live laughing and giggling. Or just in the serenity of peace. Can our telephone caller still hear us? We don't have a visual or audio cue. I want to make sure we haven't lost you. Can you?
Yes, still here.
Very good. Okay. You have any questions?
Blank mind.
Blank mind?
Mm-hmm.
When you come to your senses, you might notice that. So we call it blank mind. And are you still here? Do you exist?
Something does.
But can you say you don't exist?
No.
Yeah. So you exist.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, you exist without that mind. What does that say about you and mind?
Mind is an adjunct.
Sorry, mind is what?
An adjunct.
An adjunct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not you.
No, not me.
Even though it says I, huh? This I of mind is not you.
But that's taught, surely.
That's totally true. Did you say?
Say again?
Did you say that's totally true?
No, I said that is taught. I only call myself I because that's what everybody around me did when I was wee. Small.
Yes. Well, if you didn't have the word I, you still had a sense of I. I exist. I am.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. There might have been humanity could have chose a different word for I, but we'd all still be using that word to describe that I exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's true, you were given whatever name you have. You know, because we have a different names, that's the beginning of believing we're different.
Yes.
That we are not just different, but other than each other. There's a difference.
Yeah, but it's been a long time in that dream.
Yeah. The story of I. The story of I that you were given when you started to ask questions. Where did I come from? How did I get here? Where do we go from here? And nobody could answer. It was my experience. Nobody answered, and they said, actually, don't ask those questions. Go on with your life. Just, do what everybody else is doing. And at some point, I can't beat them, join them, right? But at some point, I realized that nobody knew. The reason they're not answering is nobody knows. Well, nobody that I knew knows. I suppose I came to the conclusion as a child that just nobody knows, because you surely think that if somebody knew, that it would get back to others, and that we would know. But no, there's a collective unconsciousness of, let's just not look there. Let's not really get serious about that. Life is fun. Let's just get on with it. The good news is there's some people who know. And all people can know. And what does that do for you? Does that do what Jerry was talking about wanting? Harmonious outer relationships? Maybe. Maybe not. Inner peace? Yes. Even if you don't have outer harmonious relationships. Inner peace. So that you can say no to somebody and be at peace doing it. It ends the nagging, the inner nagging of something's missing. I don't know what, but there's something missing. This story of be born, go to school, get married, have kids, get old, sick, and die. Not so attractive. Something's wrong, something's off. And we've been told a lot of stories. The story of you, the story of your birth, the story of your death, whatever that is. When you realize you're not, we lost somebody. He'll be back, no doubt. When you realize you're not that story, you're free of it all. And so this is why, who am I, is the most important question. Because it's only with this question can you find out who you're not and who you are. Well, either this question or just surrendering yourself, which they're basically one and the same thing. But surrendering yourself is big. It's everything you think you need and want. It's everything you like and don't like, not just the what you don't like. Because even if your idea of yourself is good, it's still tiny compared to your truth, your reality. And it blinds you to that truth and reality. So that has to be given up. And that's when fear can come in. You don't want to lose yourself, this tiny version of yourself, because you don't already know the bigger version. So you can, with your power of authority, put yourself in a catch-22 there. But it's not truly a catch-22 because it's still your power of authority. So you just need to question your reality. Questions are powerful. So with this work, I help you question the blind spots until you can question everything. Until you do question everything. See, every problem that you bring forward has your power of authority stamped on it. Every single one, if you look at them closely. So these problems are self-created. They're not real. There's actually no question. Any question is actually only a statement of what you think you already know. And that collides with the truth. And so now you have a problem, and that's why you get a question. And so these questions are good to bring forth. So we can look at them, look at the truth and the reality. Is there any? And if you don't bring them forth, then you will stick with the same thing you've always thought you've known. And that's all you will be able to know, is what you already know or think you know. Some people, when they come to this work, if they don't understand that, they may take offense. They may believe, if they already carry the personality or the ego that says, I'm not good enough, I'm always wrong, and we do this questioning, and they may take that and use it against themselves. Say, I'm not going to do this, I'm just going to be made wrong. Nobody can help you out of that except you. This is not about being wrong or right. That's more mind. It's about you looking and checking to compare the dream to reality and see for yourself what's true. I don't tell you what's true. You tell yourself. That's the only way it works. That's why it's called self-realization. It's not other realization where someone does it for you. But you do. So you have to be kind of fearless and willing to open and expose all of your thoughts, beliefs to inquiry. Be that with yourself or with another. And if you hold anything back, even an iota of something, you're protecting the false self. So if you're sincere and you really want the truth, you'll bring it all up. Look at it all, leave nothing behind. What comes of this in the process is peace, laughter. So there's nothing to be afraid of. So, what's holding you back? From what? From what you want? From the truth of who you are? Now, you've been told, or you've probably heard somewhere, there is only one self, and you are that. This means you're not even separate from God. You're not even separate from the world. Only one is only one. It's one without a second. It's all inclusive. Nothing is left out. And so having that thought knowledge, secondhand thought knowledge is what it is. Somebody else will have, seeded this because it's in their experience. They've realized it. And you try to go see how that's true. And what you do is you take your sense of self that you think you have, and you try to make it into everybody else's separate sense of self. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's not going to work, because your sense of self doesn't exist any more than everybody else's sense of self exists. Your sense of self, of separate self, doesn't exist any more than a separate tree exists. Now that may hit some people. What? A separate tree doesn't exist? Wait a minute, I'm not a tree. The direct seeing that I speak of revealed that all things are the same self, and the sense of self that I have is not different from that. They're all one and the same. That doesn't mean I'm a tree. And this is what someone who starts with the idea of me as a separate person will say. You're a tree? You saw yourself as a tree? No. I saw that all trees, all things are me, the same self. There's a difference. What you're trying to do is take a little separate sense of yourself and duplicate it into everything. This separate sense of self has to disappear, and the fact of the one self will be revealed. Because it's already the case. You don't need anything to make it happen. It's the eternal truth. It's just sort of like the fog has moved in, kind of blinded you. And the fog is the movie in the mind that you stamp with your power of approval. Me as a separate being. But with this one question, it throws that into question. Can you separate my words from your hearing? Can you actually separate my words from your hearing?
No.
No. Can't do it. What does that say? That we can concoct ideas. If we want to maintain our separate sense of self, we'll have to concoct ideas about that. Oh, well, that's because we're all we're all connected. You still want to hold your little you by saying we're connected somehow. And this doesn't satisfy. It doesn't eliminate the problems caused by self and other. So rather than trying to cling to your story of your separate self, use that recognition in the moment differently. I say, can you separate my words from your hearing? And you say, no. Okay. Stand up for the truth from now on. If you can't separate this, then it means there is no separation. So there's still a bit of a problem. Something has to go. You will either try to cling to your separated I and make up a story, or you'll say, oh, maybe there's no difference. Maybe there is no you and me. I'm not saying you don't have a sense of I, okay? But your sense of I exist, I am, is different from you and me. You and me is a story, a mental overlay on top of what already is. So what already is no separation. If you accept that and stand up for that, then what has to go is you and me. What do I mean? What has to go? You have to quit. You have to quit believing in you and me. And quit touching the separation, the separated thoughts of you and me. And then you're just here with this as this moment in which you're hearing, seeing, touching, tasting, feeling. And without a you and me, is there anything you need to do? Hey, welcome back, Mr. X. Can you hear us yet? All right. You missed some good stuff, but it's okay. You can catch it on the replay. Welcome, Brandon. You made it.
Hello. You hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. That's great. We don't hear or see Brandon yet, just so you know. You might be figuring the video audio thing out.
Okay. You don't hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So any questions or comments on that?
It seems what's the word I'm looking for? Very abstract in what you're saying.
Which part?
Okay, let me just, I can give you an example more than I can try to explain myself.
That's always best.
Okay. Okay, like my daughter is not inviting me to her college education, her graduation, her college graduation.
Okay.
And I, after hearing what you just talked about, I realized it doesn't matter. It felt really good.
Yeah. When things don't matter, it feels really good.
Yeah, exactly. And however, I can't explain why it doesn't matter the way you did it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just not there yet.
Well, you probably know. Always trust your insight before the thought. You see, we think the thought's more important. No, you have had an insight, clearly, or you wouldn't have felt good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes the words for that don't come. Because the words are not the insight. Okay?
Yeah.
It's like the word cup is not that which I'm pointing to. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So the word is not the insight. So sometimes they don't come, or maybe they come later, or whatever. It's okay. Don't throw out the insight because you don't have words.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Better you keep the insight. You know, and you do have words. You said it doesn't matter. There you go. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. However that insight arose, you know, you can't say, no words can say. It's direct.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Why do you think that it doesn't matter? Why do you think I got that insight?
So we have to recap what I was talking about. What I was saying was sort of demonstrating that there's no separation between you and I. And if you really get that, I did it through a little question demonstration. If you really get that, then there's no loss, right? If there's a you and I and you're not inviting me, And now there's a problem around all that. That's a whole story there, right? How come you're not doing that? Don't you love me? Blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that is not there, doesn't matter.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I got it again.
Bravo.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's like the fish they don't know that they're swimming in water.
Yeah. That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah.
That's
So
how
someone
I feel
comes
right
along
now.
and says, "How's the water?" And the fish goes, "What are you talking about?" You know?
Yeah.
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 It's so direct. It's so omnipresent. It's so everywhere. The truth. That when we recognize it, it's kind of funny, like, oh, we've been swimming in it the whole time.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and there are no problems, and it never happened. And yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so different people will have different insights at different times. And if someone's having one and you're not, don't worry about it. If you go into a story about that, that's an opportunity again to come to your senses. Notice the difference between the movie and the mind and what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
But is it possible to come to your senses and speak to somebody at the same time? Because isn't speaking, I couldn't speak without thinking before.
Are you doing it now?
I don't know.
You want to find out?
Yeah.
All right. So feel your feet, the top of your head. Take in your peripheral vision and notice your breath moving in and moving out. And tell me, is it possible to speak? Well, you said,
I guess.
open your eyes. You keep your eyes open, feel your feet, top of head, take in your peripheral vision. What it means is just notice your peripheral vision because it's always there. It's always on. Yeah. Okay. Can you speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
See, we're so used to contracting and going into the thinking movie in the mind and losing the feet. Like everything gets contracted here that we think that is what life is. That's what it's all about. And there is nothing else. Until you do a little experiment. Go, wait a minute, is it possible? We'll find out. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not all there is to life. You are alive, not just between the ears. You are alive head to toe and beyond.
Uh-huh.
Now, because you're so used to speaking from the dream and not from what is, you're not going to be able to speak from the dream. That's the whole point. Right? You now speak from now. So you may slow down a lot, especially at first, because you're not used to this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the dream is like a movie. A lot happens really fast, and you could just blah, 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 trying to catch up with the dream, but you're not doing that. And so you speak more slowly, and you're going to say that's not familiar. You're not used to that. Okay, sure. It's not a problem. And eventually you become used to it, familiar with it. You become familiar with speaking from now. You say a lot less, you do for sure. Okay, a lot of stuff we say is completely unnecessary. And you stop spinning the mind by doing this. So you'll stop getting lost in the dream so often.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah.
When we quit clinging to things is when we find actually there's no need to, and we have everything we could possibly need. And it seems like you get more when you quit clinging. It's just because when you cling to something, you eliminate other things, other possibilities. So let things come and go. They're going to anyway, regardless of what you have to say about it. And so in silencing this false self, you find peace, freedom, even joy, giggles. Your natural self is joyful, blissful, and it just can be seen now. It's your baseline, you know? You don't need anything to be happy. You need something to be unhappy. And it's usually a thought, a story, movie in the mind, history, blah, 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 blah. Story of what should and shouldn't be.
So Cindy, in the beginning of the program, you said, what's holding us back?
Mm.
And so it would be our clinging.
Yeah. Good insight. It wouldn't matter what you would bring forward. You're the one authorizing it. You're the one clinging, right? You're right. And it's the movie in the mind. The thoughts, the memories, they're not a problem. It's the clinging and stamping and believing it's real and true and important. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, you nailed it. So no matter what you would bring forward, well, this is holding me. When I was 4, this happened to me. Right? And I'd be like, okay, where's that 4-year-old now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist. How can it hold you back? When you question what you're empowering, it's your using your own power of authority. And that's the only thing that can free you. Because nobody can force your power of authority anywhere. Even if someone's holding a gun to your head, you still don't have to do what they want you to do. What are you doing? You might be choosing. You might be choosing to be shot. If that happens, you don't know that that's going to happen. Or you might be choosing to do what they want you to do. But you are still in control. Nobody can take your power of authority and wiggle it around and put it anywhere for you. This is how the people who were in, concentration camps, some people came out free. The ones that survived. We don't know that the ones that passed on weren't free also. But we know that some survived and they're free and they're peaceful inside. And they're not angry and they're not vengeful. And they're not polluted with suffering. Because they realize their inner freedom. No matter what someone could do to this body, they can't touch me. I.
So when we let go, surrender that you talked about, we then move into trust. There's something better. Go ahead.
I'll finish it.
And then I was going to say, when you're in that point of a relaxed mind, what's your thought on allowing spiritual guidance to lead you?
Okay. So if I were to ask you to question this thought, because ultimately I want you to be able to do this for yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part of that was about trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this.
I'm sorry. What I mean by trust, letting go, surrendering the old.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
what I mean.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for the clarification and the repeat. So someone says to you, your stove is hot, and you check. You don't accept and you don't deny, but you check. However you do, you touch the stove, you see if it's lit, you throw some water on it to see if it sizzles, whatever. There's many ways to actually check and see. When you know the stove is hot or not, do you need to trust?
No.
No. When you have the truth, you don't need to trust. You have the truth, first of all. Okay? So we can take any question that comes up and look at it, all the different components of it, and look at all of the different components of it and check and see if they're real. Because if the first part of this question isn't real, what does that say about the other half? Hey, welcome back.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Yeah, I'm following. Yeah.
Yeah, if the first part of this, if any part of this question or statement isn't true, and we just looked at the first part so far, what does it mean about the rest of it?
It's not true then. The first part, yeah.
If the first part isn't true, the rest of it is just irrelevant, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're talking about surrender and trust, though, which I like, because you don't know what you don't know. And so there does need to be some faith. I like the word faith.
Okay.
And I don't mean spiritual faith necessarily, but if that's there for you, fine. Good. Okay. Faith in that there is something else going on here. There's something different. There is a reality. Okay. And that it's not what you're thinking it is. Or why would you even bother, right? We've all heard the stories of people having awakenings and whatnot, and we go, "Ooh, I want that." And so we have some faith. But it's not enough. It's not enough.
Right.
You need that to take the next step, to check. Okay, you can accept for a moment, okay, I can accept for the moment who I am is not who I think I am.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a moment, let's accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what, if you accepted that for a moment, what are the implications of that?
Are huge.
Yeah. 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 I feel that you really did look. You didn't just have a mental, oh yeah, it'd be, you know, big. No, you went, yeah, huge. You can just, yeah. Yeah. And we could also say, let's just accept for the moment that there isn't any separation.
Mm-hmm.
What is the implications of that?
Infinite.
Yeah. So if we accepted those, if there's no separation, okay, if you accept that for the moment, and then you look at the other half of your question, you know, it was about spiritual guidance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if there's no separation, where are you going to get spiritual guidance from? Because that presumes from outside of you, right? But if there's no separation, there's no from outside of you.
So it's okay. I get it. Okay. So hang on.
Yep.
So I'm allowing it. I'm just I'm allowing myself to receive it then, because it's already here.
You still want to keep yourself, don't you? Keep me over here. I'm going to keep me as a separate being.
No,
and I'm allowing myself to receive it. There's still separation, my friend.
But I know it's here. The guidance is here. However, my mind's contracting where I'm not, you know.
Careful what you empower.
What?
Be careful what you empower. What are you authorizing right now about you? What are you saying is true about you? What limitation are you putting on yourself right now?
I don't really think I am. I think I'm part of the oneness of everything.
No,
and
you're saying, you're about to say, I didn't let you finish it, but you're about to say something like my mind is closed, or when my mind is closed. So there's a limitation on you now. It's my mind's fault. Mm-hmm. I am again at a victim of my mind.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Mind is more powerful than me. Mind is the top dog. Now, I don't know if you know, everybody here might know Byron Katie. She's the author of Loving What Is. There's a story about her of having had a woman visit by her bedside, a wise woman visit by her bedside at night and tell her, you know, have conversations with her, help her out, give guidance, we could say. If you ask her about that story now, what she'll tell you is, yeah, that vision, yeah, I didn't really understand at the time that was myself. And until we don't know or see or accept that there is no separation, then maybe the only way we can receive it is from outside. We imagine it outside of ourselves. Okay?
Okay.
That's okay to a point. It'll take you to a point, but at some point, you need to go beyond it. Mm-hmm. I had a client the other day tell me that, so we're doing alchemy, right? And the first question, and the most important question that you have to answer right for the rest of it to work is, what do I want? And she was out walking. And she did the work, what do I want? And up came something. And she knew that wasn't really what she wanted. But, you know, something came up and she tried it on, you try it on and it doesn't satisfy and whatever. And then she looks up and there's this blackbird. And she said it was like it was eyeing me. What do you really want? Okay. That's what she thought she got from the blackbird, you know, like I would be doing if she were telling me that. I'd go, no, that's not what you want. What do you really want? Okay. That's what she needed in the moment. And because you believe in separation, you believe that something comes from outside of you. But there is, in truth, nothing outside of you. But you don't trust yourself yet. And that's, not a bad thing. Because you don't know the difference between you and the false self yet. And maybe you don't want to trust the false self, and good. But this is why it's so important to start discerning. What is the difference between the false self and me? And when you do this inquiry and you get a recognition, a realization, it doesn't come like other things come through the movie in the mind, which is where the false self resides. You just know it. Oh, it doesn't matter. Nothing ever happened. Thoughts may come secondarily, but the first thing is the recognition. It's not like you sat there trying to figure it out and went, oh, well, it doesn't matter. And you try and brush it off. You know what that's like, Jerry?
I do. I muted because my dog was barking. Sorry.
It's all right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what that's like, it's denial, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just try and tell yourself mentally it doesn't matter. Then you know the difference between, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter because
it's the feeling. It's a feeling. It's.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I have to mute again. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay. Yeah, it's not just a feeling. And because there's a difference. I think you know the difference too. If I asked you, Jerry, between what's a feeling and what's a recognition, is a knowing. Okay, you just know. Don't trust just feelings. I call them thought feelings. The movie and the mind trigger thought feelings. A thought and a feeling comes together, and you feel it. And the more you feel it, the habit has been to believe it. I say, if it feels bad, don't accept it. Suspect it. Okay. Question it. Discover, is it really true? A realization isn't of something new. You don't put a couple of thoughts together and go, oh, this is, no, this is how it's always been. That's one of the trademarks. And because of that reality of it, words cannot speak it. They can point to it, but words are not it. It's unspeakable, but it's real. And we've thought that only that which is speakable is real. That's how we've lived our whole life. If you can't speak it, it's not real. And in fact, the unspeakable was thought to not exist. When in truth, it's all that actually does exist. Reality is real. It doesn't need a thought to be real. And thoughts, by their nature of coming and going, are unreal. If that's what you take as your measurement for what is real and what is not, whether or not it comes and goes, if it's permanent, this is what I suggest as your measurement or your meter or your thermostat. Raise the bar. That which comes and goes is not real. That eliminates a lot of stuff, doesn't it? Any questions on all of that? Comments? Or anything else? Wide open here. We've gone past the hour, but yeah. If you need to go, feel free to go. If you don't and there's still a burning question, I'll take it.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you. Blessings.
Yes, Cindy, thank you. Another excellent hour. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
See you next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.